Boston Brian in the background. What's up? Excuse me, we'll get started in just a second. All right, let's get started. Come on now. Hit that like, everybody. Share the show. We'll be up in just a second. Let me throw together this. You can see my chat. Oh, yes. Wait a second. Hey, I'm back, everybody. Good to see you. I've missed you. It's been a crazy week. All you really need to know is my kid is getting straight A's. That's pretty much it. And then all of his teachers want him to be in honors programs next year, which I might need another paternity test just to check, because that seems so antithetical to who I am as a person. Also, waiting in the wings is our dear friend Boston Brian, but I want to take a moment, a personal privilege, to say rest in peace, Ace Frehley. I bought my first Kiss record when I was 5 years old, and I often have said that you can define my masculinity as a human being by you combining a few people, not the least of which is my dad, but the guys in Kiss, Steve Martin and Bruce Lee, were like these are who shaped my idea of the breadth and depth of what masculinity could be. And Ace's guitar playing and his style, and especially when I was a kid, oh my God, like, when he took the makeup off, I was like, holy shit, Lily Tomlin is in Kiss. But with the makeup on and the entire image, it was just, no pun intended, a shock to my system when I was a kid, and it defined it pushed the barriers of art for me to someplace really fun and really exciting and really that resonated with me personally. And so of all the guys in the band, he went through a lot of struggles. I will tell you guys the history of the last time he died, at a later show. But in the interim, you don't have to put away, Boston Brian, you don't have to put away your bullhorn, because I'm about to come to you, and I saw it, and I want to see why it's there. Here we're coming, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the show our dear friend Boston Brian. What's happening?
What I didn't feel it was appropriate,
no.
for the the message that you're getting at the time, so I felt bad, so I wanted to put it
Ace. Down. It's Ace. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Well, my condolences, my friend, and rest in peace to an absolute legend. I did not have the depth, the deepness and ties to the band, but I can completely understand, and I can completely put a 1-to-1 to the people that I also look up to in the same sort of ways. So for your loss and for everybody that was a fan of the band and also a fan of Ace, I my condolences to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, brother.
I'm just glad to see you didn't actually get mauled by like a bunch of cats. I'm really happy to see that you're still alive. I really thought I lost you there. I didn't know what was going on.
Are you on Sora? Did you see the Sora post?
I saw somebody posted it to Blue Sky. I thought I got a kick out of it. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, my kid made that. I put it up there. So Sora is OpenAI. This, usually we do Friday AI, but Rob's busy today. And I thank you for coming and joining us because I've missed you anyways, but also, there's so much to talk about. It's a bit absurd.
Right. Especially when you take a week off, or like even if you miss a day or two, like in today's news cycle and like whatever's going on, like you feel so out of place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't look at the news, like sometimes like I had to, babysit and people were sick and stuff. So I went like a couple days we didn't really keep in touch as much. And then you hop back in and you're like, all right, where do I start? Like Venezuela, Argentina, ICE, like where do we actually start? The government's still being shut down. Like, I don't know where do you go?
I'll tell you where you go. Everything settles into SPA and not SPA. Everything falls into these two categories because all of it, him flying to the Middle East to sign this piece of paper that did not involve the other fighting party and really just was a financial document to pay off the leaders of Hamas who were living in Qatar to basically take the money and run. And go, stop worrying about this, fuck off, money or die. That was basically what they worked out. That whole show, ICE in the streets, the National Guard, all of it, even the government shutdown stretching out, is either SPA or not SPA. It is Epstein or not Epstein. And he is trying to backfill, like, magnanimous policies of, look at all the good I'm doing. How dare you come for me about this Epstein stuff? That's all. I'm telling you, because it's going to happen anyways. And this is going to be his defense. I solved 15 wars. It'll be, by the time he starts talking about this shit, it's going to be like, 8 wars. I solved 9 wars. If I've done 10 wars, how many I've done 15 wars and you guys won't forgive me. It's 20 wars now.
How many countries are there again? Yeah, I solved them all. All of them. Oh, good.
Yeah.
But the problem is he's kind of got us by the balls because like a lot of the things that he's doing is putting so many people in danger or could potentially, lead to something so catastrophic and dangerous that you have no choice but to pay attention to it, call it out, look at what's going on. Has us, looking left while he's trying to play to the right,
No, I'm not saying ignore it. I'm saying each of these things does matter, but why he's doing it, all this stuff, even the trouble that he's causing, like sending federal troops in, all that kind of stuff, pretending it's the end, like the cities are burning down and that he's got to like he's sending a line of soldiers to surround the city like it's under siege. This is so fucking lame. But the reason he's doing all of these things, and I think what it is like an ornament you can hang on all the criticisms, is he's causing all this trouble and this shitstorm just so that he can hide from Epstein. This one, same thing, just so they even the Russia, the Gaza, quote unquote, peace plan. He got, I think in total now he's gotten out, 30 live hostages, round number, I'm guessing. The rest of them were gotten out under Biden. Everybody seems to have forgotten that, right? But what the rest of it is nuts. Like it's the idea that Hamas is slaughtering people in the streets, both from like competing factions and anybody who stands up to them right now. They rolled into an area in ambulances, 8 ambulances with guys with guns in them, pulled into an area, slaughtered people, like shot them in the street. I don't know if you've seen that footage. But
I've seen a couple of things, and I've seen it's going back and forth with like what's actually going on. Some people are claiming it's because they collaborated with Israel. Others are claiming it's because they were actually the ones being paid, the gangs being paid by Israel, and they were the ones that actually stole some of the aid trucks and stealing from some of the starving kids.
Yeah, no,
this is the same thing that Donald Trump came out and said he didn't care about, like he didn't mind because they were bad people. Now all of a sudden he's putting out on Truth Social that if Hamas doesn't stop, that he's going to allow Israel and others to go back in and kill them.
Right.
But, I mean, this whole thing has been a farce to begin with. Right at this point, right now, it's like you just mentioned. It's gone. He's done no more and even less than Joe Biden had accomplished. Right. And again, like I hate to say, like, even a week ago, as small as my podcast is, and as the reach that I don't have, like a week and a half ago, I stumbled upon an article, and it seemed to come to fruition where it was kind of proving that all of this was a joke to begin with, because when you're reading that Israel and the United States intelligence were well aware that Hamas was wholly unable, and it was impossible for them to get all of the deceased hostages, the bodies, back, because they don't know where all of them are. A lot of them are buried in rubble. I mean, it's impossible to get a body back that you cannot find, right?
Yeah.
And that was known by not only Israel, but also the United States intelligence agencies. Yet, this was put into place where they knew they were forcing Hamas to give back all of the bodies, knowing that it was not a possibility. Now, that in that article had one line where it said that, pay attention to this, because this could be used further on down the road as justification by Israel and the United States to say that Hamas isn't living up to their end of the bargain. I know there's other things going on, which just points to the fact that this whole peace, ceasefire, peace deal is a joke, and the victory lap that they're doing is absolutely a joke as well.
And Trump's insane, like, eternal peace horse shit is just so like such a fucking fever dream that I know he's trying to have his, like, majestic, before he leaves the stage, he's trying to have, like, this kind of messianic moment. I half expect him to take a trip to the temple on the mountain, declare himself God at this point. Just go all Antichrist at this point. Peter Thiel's expecting it, so why not? Maybe that's what he's paying you for.
But he's just going to make himself look even stupider and even more incompetent when this thing inevitably kicks back off. Or, since we've seen where, Hamas is taking matters into its own hands and governing over there, we've seen Israel has killed at least 6 Palestinians, claiming that they were, attempting to cross over into some yellow zone, but that was disputed. Again, we've got back and forth reports of both sides already violating this so-called ceasefire. And, you got Fox News, OAN, Newsmax continuing, and Don Jr. going out and calling peace in the Middle East for the second time. If you remember, the first time was when Jared Kushner somehow managed to get peace in the Middle East. So this is the second time they've managed to get
you mean
peace
the Abraham,
in the Middle East.
You mean the Abraham Accords, the peace deals between countries that weren't actually fighting, that were basically economic deals, because that's really what they were. They were like real estate deals.
That in part led to where we are now.
Yeah, no question. Yeah. But like the true leadership would be, in dealing with something like this, would be mitigatory, exactly how the Biden and Harris administration were doing it, which is, we're working towards these goals. They are incredibly complex. We want to reach these benchmark areas, and when we get there, there will be fallback and stuff like that, but that should not take us off the tracks. No small violation by either side is enough to keep the train towards peace for the benefit of the Palestinian people and the Israeli people moving in the right direction. Trump's whole thing about, like, well, I've achieved peace in the Middle East, magical. And if anybody messes up my peace in the Middle East, I will kill them. Like, is so fucking stupid.
As a leader, it would be prudent upon you to mitigate the expectations, especially in circumstances when we're dealing with, an incredibly
where the details are all over the place. Right.
We're dealing with, a country who has, reneged on more fucking ceasefires and peace deals, talking about Israel than I don't know, a lot that we could point to. So it's not like these two countries have a history of, going and doing what they say they're going to do afterwards. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, you would be smart to mitigate the expectations just in case. That way you don't inevitably look like an asshole claiming that you've solved this 3,000-year-old problem. And then, 2 days later, we're reporting on more people being killed, people being shot in the streets, aid already being threatened. Israel's already threatening to stop aid, which is, again, a war crime. You cannot threaten to starve people because the government or the militia that you're fighting is not acting the way you want them to act. That's just not how things work.
Right.
That's not how it's written in the Geneva Convention. That's not why we have international law or the rules of war. That's just not, the way that's been normalized is out of control as well. Like, you can't just say, okay, they aren't agreeing to the ceasefire, so I'm just going to starve people. Like, that's just, it's ridiculous that we're in that position right now.
Right.
The whole thing is a joke. It really is.
I often think about this, like, how would I handle this if I was in that circumstance? And again, I've already expressed kind of like the gray areas around each, benchmark or each goalpost, where you allow for some fuckery because of the nature of the players involved. Like, not just the governments themselves, the technically, Hamas being the government of Gaza technically, and their ununiformed soldiers and blah, 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 like all that, that's just, it just sets you up for a murky blowback, whatever. And there's also Al-Shabaab in there. There's also the Islamic State of Palestine. There's all, like these different groups might just decide, well, we don't like the deal and we weren't included, so how about we go fuck something up? Like, it's too easy. So you have to have that gray area as you move forward and not let anything derail it. The other thing you do with aid is you love bomb them with it. If the idea is that Hamas is using that aid to control people, then that means there's just enough. What you do is you dump too much food into the area where no one can leverage it. If they wanted to store it, they couldn't. If they wanted to capture it all, they couldn't. That they're, you know how many people are in there, their caloric needs, triple it. And that in and of itself would solve the problem without a shot fired of Hamas controlling the aid in the area or running it off. They don't have the personnel to do it. You overwhelm
that requires a soul and a brain, because you're an intelligent person with a soul that cares about human beings. Unfortunately, none of those exist in the government of Israel. And we already have Katz, and we already have Smotrich talking about the IDF getting sent back in to destroy the rest of the tunnels, which isn't in the agreement, I'll add. We already have a bunch of Israeli officials and ministers talking about how we're damn sure going to have Israeli
that was part of
it.
I got to tell you, that's not new though. That I guarantee that was in the discussions that Kushner had, because you can't build a fancy hotel Trump destroying the tunnels. You can't. I'll tell you why.
It's part of the deal. It is part of the deal. It's actually number 13 in the peace deal, but it's not part of the deal that the IDF is going to do it. The whole point of the withdrawal of the IDF is to keep the IDF and the Israeli fucking forces out of that territory, out of that place. So it makes no sense to withdraw just to say we're going to send our troops back in to destroy the tunnels. Look at the fucking place.
Yeah.
You didn't destroy all the tunnels while you were there. What tunnels did you miss? I'm sorry. If you missed any tunnels, that's on you. I'm sorry. But you don't get to just send your forces back in to say, oh, we missed a few. You know what I mean? That's not how it's written in the fucking deal. That's not how it should happen.
Look, how it's written in the deal, I don't take seriously at all, because it's basically a fucking memo. And again, only one party was there to sign it.
Anybody can do whatever they want.
Exactly.
Anybody can do whatever they want.
Exactly. Hence the problem. And so what I will say is that I don't think it's that we're gonna, they're gonna go send the IDF in to take care of the tunnels because the Israeli military wants to take pot shots at people. It's much more. It's worse than that. They want to send either the Israeli or the Qatari or the fucking Egyptians, whoever's going to go in there to blow up the rest of the tunnels and stuff, because you have to settle the ground and so you can build Trump Tower Gaza. That's been kind of like, they are going to rehab that area in sections, and then they know there will be pop-offs where they can basically salami slice their way through it. And that's what Russia intended to do once they didn't make it to Kyiv. Like, okay, we'll just salami slice our way across chunk by chunk. Let's hold this line until everybody forgets about it, and then do it again. So like the IDF is almost like demo contractors for Kushner Incorporated, if that makes sense.
And there's no secret. I mean, there's no like they've totally outright condemned and said that there's no chance whatsoever of a two-state solution. Again, you got Israeli officials going on and posting to X saying that we're going to have Israeli settlements in Gaza. That's just a thing that's going to happen. Again, like I don't understand what's the point of a 20-point bullet point peace plan if none of the points matter. Nothing's going to happen. If you violate the ceasefire from the person that's supposed to be controlling this whole thing.
I'll tell you exactly
I don't know what we're hoping.
I'll tell you what the 20-point peace plan is, because there need be only three. A path towards self-governance, or a disarmament, or Hamas leaving, and another body taking over. The reason they have 20 is because maggots will glaze over. 20 sounds complicated. 20 sounds like it's thought through. 20 sounds like they're thinking of everything, and they're fucking not. And the point is that those 20 are a veneer for 3. Broom everybody out, ethnic cleansing effectively, and rebuild the place. And the only Arabs that are allowed back in are not, by and large, what, the Palestinians in Gaza who have been there the whole time. They will be effectively the workforce for either the Qatari or Saudi forces that'll eventually build up to run the place as the Palestinian technocrats, as the Arab technocrats that will run it on behalf of the Board of Peace, which is, we used to go off on the fucking Patriot Act as almost like the, pegging the needle in Orwellian speak, right? And the Board of Peace has got to be the most fucking embarrassing, stupid thing, but he's doing it because from a marketing standpoint, and again, I look at all this shit because Trump is not a leader. He's a flim-flam man. He's a used car salesman. He doesn't even sell worthwhile things. He sells bullshit, and by the time you've driven it off the lot, it's no longer his fucking problem. And if you come back to complain, you're going to talk to a middle manager, not him. That was them, right? That's the whole, he was basically a Democrat who got me coffee. He came very highly recommended. That's so he can jettison these fuckers whenever the stuff doesn't work out. And Jared's side of this will always work out because he's sitting on $3 billion in a relationship with the Saudis. And at some point, the Iranians, like the Sunni Shia fight that has kept that whole region imbalanced forever, is going to have to either work itself to a stalemate, or the burn will continue to the point where no one is concerned with the Middle East ever again. Like that's where Trump is. Like when he talks about it, he wants to like put it on hold. That's why I keep saying eternal peace too, is because it's done. We did all we could, and I made eternal peace. They fucked it up. Like, it's the stupidest shit. But it gives him that ability to go, I came up with a 20-point plan, I did everything, and I gave them what they wanted, and whatever. You guys do what you're going to do. And it's basically every whining moment that Netanyahu has had in the last year, especially since January, especially, where he wants to do more or whatever. I feel like to some degree it's been an act. I feel like they agreed on this, shook hands on it early. Like, look, you're going to not like what I'm going to do, and I'll not like what you're. It's wrestling. It's fucking wrestling.
Well,
so
just like his so-called off the top of my head asking for a pardon for Benjamin Netanyahu, his little speech at the Knesset, right? Like, that was absolutely pre-planned. That was absolutely talked about beforehand. That wasn't some spur of the moment, spontaneous thing that he asked for. And you can tell because we went back on the show and we replayed the interview that he was giving on Air Force One after, and he was questioned about that. Like, did you talk beforehand about that? And he said, no, I actually told him I wasn't going to say it. So clearly they had a discussion about what he was going to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And of course he's lying when he says he wasn't going to talk about it.
Of course.
Something stinks about this, though. Something really stinks. And I still truly believe that this whole thing is about like tacit permission for Israel to go in and, quote unquote, finish the job. Because like they didn't really get anything that they were after, right? Like, they didn't get all the Palestinians out, right? They didn't eradicate Hamas. In the deal, Hamas gets like free fucking passage to like whatever country of their choosing, right? Just lay down your weapons. So it's like there are people even more right-wing than Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. So I'm curious like how much he's getting shit in the background because they like really didn't accomplish what they set out to accomplish, right? Like they didn't. Like it's so that's why I'm kind of like thinking that this has to be about like the further permission to go out and finish the job, like we're seeing now, where Donald Trump's saying, okay, we're going to go in and kill you, Smotrich and Katz and all them talking about going into the tunnels.
Like he does a lot of this last chance talk. He's done it with Putin a bunch of times and it doesn't work. And by the way, to anyone in the White House who was watching this show, and I'm sure there's somebody because of either you or I or both. Every time Donald Trump shakes hands with Vladimir Putin, he will get sicker. Just know that. Just know that. That's the kind of guy you're shaking hands with. He's got a little pin in his hand, or he's got a little like substance on he's got a layer of Elmer's glue and a layer of, Balthorium G. And when he shakes hands, Trump's going to get sicker and dumber. Count on it. Count on it. He was never meant to be his hero. He was meant to be a chaos agent, and turning his brain to gelatin will speed that shit up more than anything. So it's just, yeah, fuck you, White House, right? But in terms,
speaking of being led around by the nose by dictators, though, I mean, you can talk about how Trump just had his phone call with Putin, and now he's kind of changed his tune on the Tomahawk thing real quick. You know, he seems like one phone call with Putin, and now these Tomahawk missiles that he was thinking about sending, you know, a small amount. I think the report was 20 to 50 out of our 4,150 that we have, but still 20 to 50 is 20 to 50 more than the Ukrainians have now. So it would definitely be help. But now he was questioned about it after his phone call, and he seems to have changed his tune real quick. Now all of a sudden the United States needs those for Venezuelan fishing boats, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Who, by the way, there were survivors on one of the boats. A new report coming out that one of the boats that was hit, there were survivors, and no information about what happened to them. Did they get picked up? Did you just let them drown? Did you just watch? What? And nobody, because there's so few details. We'll get to the Venezuelan part of this as well. And before we do, I want to remind everybody, Boss Brian has great shows and a great channel, and you should subscribe to it. Period. End of story. Good man. That said, like the Venezuelan stuff. I mean, he's stacking with a peace president. Holy shit. If like it's at a certain point, I gotta say,
peace president with a body count, bro. He's a peace president with a body count.
Yeah. Remember when and again, I don't put this on maggots as much as I put it on the watery support of you know, like either both edgy, far left, nihilistic Democrats or lefties who vote with us occasionally, but then bug out at certain times. And I'd like to remind these fuckers for the umpteenth time that in the first year of Donald Trump's first term, there were more civilian deaths from drone strikes than there were in the entire 8 years of Obama, because Obama had a rule of engagement that was tight and it's a war zone, so it's impossible in some cases not to have it's war, right? But Trump just said, why are we even trying? If there's one guy in the middle of a crowd and we need him, 100 people around him because they're in a shopping center or in a market, fuck them. They're standing too close to the target. Boo-hoo. And he turned it off. He didn't just like lower them. He just went, fuck it. You're going to be up. That's what this whole warfighter horse shit is about. Warfighters don't just commit war crimes. That's not warfighter does not mean war criminal. And apparently Pete Hegseth thinks it does, if he thinks at all. That said, over this period of time, think of all the fucking insane things compared to the drone strike argument that we were having under Democrats, and the serious, by the way, a serious conversation about those things. The necessity in some cases for an airstrike because you have to make a trolley decision. Which track does it go down? Does it kill 5 people or 100? You're making those kind of decisions as president. And what President Trump is doing is how about we split the trolley in 2 and let it kill all of them for real? That's the thought level. And there were and folks on our side who were having a genuine conversation that thought that genuine conversation meant don't vote for Biden or somehow Obama terrible. I want them to really, really consider what Trump is doing right now. Not only kowtowing to Putin, but this Venezuelan fishing boat stuff is just fucking abject murder.
Right. And I think there's a lot to be said. I'll speak for myself here. There's a lot that I could say about Obama, the drone strikes, and, the conduct of the United States military, even under Barack Obama. But that being said, to have Donald Trump step in and, exponentially increase the death, exponentially increase what we were already discussing as, possibly being over the line anyway, just goes to show how egregious he was with these strikes. And now, even in his first, several months in his second term, he's already launched more airstrikes than Biden did in his full 4-year term. So, I mean, it's not like he's quelled this. It's not like he's quieted down. It's not like he's changed his policy on drone strikes or killing, innocent civilians or anything like that. And again, this could be easily quelled. This could be easily stopped by any one of the agencies involved by just naming some of the whatever gang, giving some information that they could come out with that would be okay, this is the information that we can release to you that gives us, credible fucking evidence. And even then, it's still not. But they're not even going that. They're not even going that far, right?
They don't have to.
Absolutely nothing. No, right. But they're just showing us the video of the murders while giving us no information whatsoever to base the murders on, like, to base what they're doing off of.
They're beating their chest about how they don't have to show the information. It's, you know, it's a combination of Operation Trust Me Bro, which is the kind of the way the Pentagon runs right now, and Operation, you know, Look Over Here. Like distraction, like, well, so
apparently this is all because fast race boats produce fast race boats, I guess. You know, right. Because again, apparently Venezuela just has their boats. They're fucking 25-foot wooden fishing boats with Jimmy rigged outboards slapped on the back, are too fast for any of the law enforcement boats that we have in the United States. That's what he said. So we're killing these people because we don't have fast boats. So again, I guess we need to increase our genealogy of race boats so we can start producing faster race boats, I guess.
All right, this is where we find out that he's got a buddy who makes speedboats.
Yes,
and he's like,
Sea-Doo.
Yeah, right. And they're gonna send like Chuck Norris and which one was it? Like one of the Chuck Norris movies, they were riding Sea-Doos. You know, the SEALs. Remember when Sea-Doos first came out? Maybe you don't because you're a young boy. But when Sea-Doos really started being in the news, they, you know, every military movie showed these guys like on these Sea-Doos racing in because you didn't have to have a boat. And like you do realize
Chucky Sheen, right? Wasn't that Chucky Sheen?
Yeah, it might have been.
Navy
yes,
Seals?
That's right.
Yeah,
but Norris did it in Delta Force 3, I think, because everybody was on the Sea-Doo thing. But the idea was that like you do realize those things have a massive fucking heat signature, or loud as ass, and like, you know, they all, it's like,
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you say, yeah, my buddy, you know, his friend owns fucking Sea Ray or Chris Craft or something.
That's right.
And you know, they'll come out and they'll produce these really fast boats.
We signed a military contract with my buddy in Florida. Right. I at this, and by the way, they won't even come out and fucking say it, because it's part of the $1 trillion military budget. And by the way, I would like to say that part of my belief about the military, the raising of the military budget, along with the pushing of the debt ceiling, was about allowing him more slush money to buy off all the parties. This is what he's effectively thinking. Like, he's transactional. He thinks that's how it works. And in a lot of cases, either people because of land, because of religious beliefs, because, you know, the 3,000-year battle that's been on, which, by the way, Islam didn't exist 3,000 years ago. It's about 1,400 years old. It kind of came along in the middle, guys. So not 3,000 years, but whatever. You and I could dive into like the historical aspect of this kind of stuff. But the fact this motherfucker can't even get a calendar right just makes that a moot point. But, right? Jesus Christ, man. Like, how long? What he means is...
He says it in the Knesset. They don't know better. You know what I mean?
Right, yes.
He brings his bullshit out in the Knesset, and they're just like, oh, Jesus.
He's like, wait a minute. Do you think the Palestinians are related to the pharaohs? I mean, I guess there's some Egyptian bleed from a long time ago that, like, that's where his fast racehorses breed fast racehorses also translate to. And let's talk about, like, the National Guard ICE stuff and the way he talks about crime and the way he's talking about these Venezuelan boats, because fast racehorses produce fast racehorses also translates to, and we've seen him say this a few times, is born criminals. People who are, you know, they were born to be bad. They were evil from birth. That criminals make criminal kids is the idea, which is there's a myriad of ways that's fucking god awful. Not the least of which is the genetic nature of ethics, which is fucked up. But also the idea that, well, if I blow up a cartel guy's house and his kids are in it, they were going to grow up to run the cartel anyways. None of them were going to change. They didn't have a chance to become somebody else. They were born to be, it like cartels in their blood. And he says it, wait, I have to play this for you, because this was probably, and it's hard to say half the time, one of the dumbest fucking things, and that's, again, saying a lot, when he was talking to the Navy.
Salt water in their veins. You have that salt water. Don't let the doctors change it. Keep it, because there's nothing like it. There's no blood like it.
Okay.
Was he going for the ice water in his veins?
No.
Like, you know, people say, yeah, I got ice water. He's talking about just their passion for the sea.
Yes, he was talking passion for the sea, salt water in their veins. He was saying that about, like, pardon the phrase, semen. They have, but he was saying that like people who want to be in the Navy are like born to be in the Navy. They've got salt water in their veins. And he seems to be so fucking stupid that he thinks it's kind of true. Like halfway through the fucking, right? Halfway through it. Like, listen to that again.
Salt water in their veins. You have that salt water. Don't let the doctors change it. Keep it. Because there's nothing like it. There's no blood like it.
But there's no blood. Salt water isn't blood. You'll fucking die, you weirdo. All right, but part of that is that's
how would the doctors change it anyway?
I don't know. It's like Edge of Tomorrow or something. Like you took the salt water out of my veins. I don't know how to like bring. I don't know how to steer a ship anymore. It's so fucking. It's so dumb. It like gives you a brain cramp. But that's what happens when you
just end up looking like fucking Mrs. Doubtfire's mask after it falls out the window and gets run over by the garbage truck. Like,
right. Right. It's so bananas. But I'll tell you where it comes from. It, because I speak moron. I was raised in Kentucky, and it's when you take like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel's racist idea of there should only be certain people are special and should run everybody else. Oh, I don't want to leave Charles Manson out of this because he also believed this, as did Hitler. Bunch of wonderful people like this. And you shove it through the fuzzy pumper barbershop fucking Play-Doh prefrontal cortex that Donald Trump has. And you just squeeze racism out through it, and it blurts out, like it comes out in slices of like, what the fuck? It looks like hair. No, it doesn't. It looks like Play-Doh spaghetti, you dipshit, and it makes no sense. And he said, he goes, wait.
Anything having to do with sailing the oceans, there's nobody to compete.
Right. And then, of course, he nailed it with this.
Hey, sir, you shouldn't say that. It's too straight to withdraw. Hey, sir, you shouldn't say that. It's too straight to withdraw.
It is too straight to withdraw. Don't you think? I was thinking that when he said the other thing. I was like, he shouldn't say that. It's too straight to withdraw. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so that's what I'm talking about, in that, like, they are bum rushing his legacy because they think he's dying. Either they know he is or they think he is. Everybody around him, JD Vance and all these fucking guys, they want him to take the heat for all the shit that they either don't want to do or they want to put a pin in. Right? How dare you question, it's like Charlie Kirk was a dry run. How dare you question what Trump tried to do? He's dead. Like that seems like what they're setting up.
I think Trump himself thinks he might be dying. He's talking about heaven a lot more lately.
Yes.
And how he's not going to make it there. So I don't know. I don't have my hopes up in anything. I don't anything before the 4 years happening. But I think we have to plan for him to be around and then kind of hope for the best.
Oh. Well, here's the thing. He has he's the oldest man to ever be sworn in as president. He's a habitual user of all kinds of awful, like benzodiazepines, and like he's a chemical yo-yo, zapping himself up and zapping himself to sleep since the 80s. It's not like, oh shit, grandpa's fading, so let's give him a shit ton of coffee during the day and then an Ambien at night and hope for the best. And if he wanders off the fucking tarmac, somebody will, like, Melania will be there to yank his hand back. Everything they said about Biden is true about Trump, and it's why he's panicking about it. The other, it's like the auto pen shit. He wanted to use the auto pen for all this stuff, but they're making him do it. Why? If you take the power out of it, because there's this, one of the things that bothers me most about the conversation about Trump is the idea that he knows what he's doing and he's got a master plan or whatever, and if they had their way, they would just round everybody up and burn the prisons down. Like that's the talk online from the right wing, the real right wing, like the pizza crust. I've said lately, we have a real problem in this country right now. We're not divided, not nearly as divided as people think, but we do have a problem where the crust thinks it's the pizza and it isn't. It's a fucking handle. I'm sorry. Eat the crust all you want. That's totally fine. But that's not why you buy it. Okay? That's not what it's for. It's a delivery system to your fucking face. Okay? And right now, the crust thinks it's the pizza. But and it's not left and right. It's surrounding us. It's just these fucking edges of it. Everybody's got their own weird.
I don't mean to interrupt, but the chat saying you might not be up.
Oh, see?
Or you might be frozen.
It's the deep. Sure. I was buffering, I think. It's the deep state.
Oh, all right,
they're coming for me.
My bad.
Streaming. Yeah. We're. It says streaming.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, sometimes there's just a lap through, but I would also say that I have no doubt that there's like an internet button, an AI that's tagged to. You watch, man. Like if
I think somebody was pressing that on YouTube yesterday, or was it the day before now? They're like the other day, YouTube wasn't working.
Oh, shit. Well, two things. One is the servers at YouTube. Think about I want to say it's like 8 billion hours of programming a day are uploaded to YouTube servers. And so whenever anything actually hits like the Gaza piece of ass plan that they put out, like it's. Can you imagine the traffic right now? Like cable's one thing. Right. There's a reason why cable works. It's because it's unidirectional. That you know what I mean? The news gets to go to you, and even that will cycle sometimes because on their end, but very rarely.
Strange, because if it didn't go down like Charlie, when Charlie Kirk got shot, it didn't go down, or like when big, whatever, name another big event that people ran online for. Like it's strange to see like what actually.
But that's U.S.
does and does
this
not
is
trigger,
worldwide. This is worldwide,
right,
and you got to think like everybody in China is hopping on a VPN to figure out what the fuck is going on. Right? Everybody in fucking Russia is hopping on a VPN to see what's going on because they're not allowed. So that's going to gack up.
There were a ton of Russians pissed off that Charlie Kirk got shot too, though.
Yeah, right. Well, but at the same time, like I'm sure. Well, we're gonna goddamn, this is gonna race by. That's why I love talking to you. Like that you've seen some of the Candace Owens shit lately about the Charlie Kirk stuff, right? Have you seen?
I mean, I am only because it hasn't made sense to me from the beginning is why I'm still kind of, two reasons. Because it really nothing's made sense to me about the information, what I saw, compared with the information that I've got. That's one reason why I'm kind of like still, watching. Another is I love the fact that this is causing such a rift in MAGA. Like, right. I love that, like, instead of attacking the left, instead of coming out with propagandistic right. bullshit like Tim Pool and Matt Walsh and Benny Johnson, like, are having to spend at least some time talking about or trying to debunk or, whatever it may be, talking about Candace Owens or what happened to Charlie. So it's almost like it's given us that extra little space to get our 2 cents in there, I feel like.
Yeah.
While also kind of, like I always say, we need to stick the crowbars and, whatever
yes.
we can into these cracks that are forming in MAGA and pry them some
Always.
bitches open to make sure that they form into bigger
Always.
cracks. So that's another reason why I continue to highlight that. But again, like right off the bat, we don't have to get into it, but just right off the bat, the first thing I thought when I saw it was, wow, that's an exit. Like that was an exit, right? Thinking like the shot must have came from the left or something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then everything we've heard that, from the gun being dismantled, the time. So we don't have to get into it, but it's just nothing's really made sense to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're on the left. I mean, I've seen
mm-hmm.
Law enforcement videos, people from ex-military, people that are non-political.
Oh yeah.
Have no political affiliation, being like, okay, this does not add up. Like nothing is adding up here. Like what's going on with Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, all this, like.
I love that.
So it's good to pry open the cracks.
It's hard, when we're drinking from the fire hose of news, there's so much. But my favorite part is starting with the July memo about Epstein. They have turned on Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Bongholio in a way that I gotta say, I'm not surprised considering what the memo said. Like, I was like, oh shit, like this is.
But Hal, that's them doing their job. Like, that's Donald Trump feeding them to the wolves to keep his ass safe, right? So they're basically doing exactly what they're put in positions to do. They're not put in positions because they're brilliant or they're going to have some fantastic ideas for the campaign or they can make our fucking country better. Like, they're in there for a specific reason because they're the best ass kissers and they can lick a taint better than anybody in the fucking White House, and they will do exactly what they're told when they're told, and they're doing it. You know what I mean? They're hanging themselves out to dry. And Bongino seemed to be the first person that's like recognized that he was kind of being used as a pawn, like in this situation, because he was the first one to kind of back out and be like, if Pam, there was that whole thing where he didn't show up for work, and there was talks if Pam Bondi didn't resign, he was going to resign. I don't know quite what happened with that whole thing and how that was resolved, but you could tell he knew he was being kind of used and abused, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
And the other two are kind of slow to figure it out. Mr. President,
right. What are you talking about? Right. They're absolutely.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
There's right there is an element of this where he is absolutely setting up a firewall. Like, they like them, they would never attack them, and if they go through them, I can just say you guys liked them. So I put them in charge. Not my fucking problem that all the Epstein stuff was buried in the foundation of the Epstein ballroom, which, by the way, it is. It's the Epstein ballroom. We will always call it the Epstein ballroom. It will be the Epstein ballroom on the White House lawn at their building. It's the Epstein ballroom.
I mean, the $40 billion that he's sending to Argentina. I mean, there's so much to discuss, right? As the farmers in this country are absolutely getting their asses handed to them. Now you got China buying the soybeans from Argentina instead of the United States, which is
at the same time the deal's happening. Now, okay, here's another thing.
Yeah,
like, I look at these kind of things. I try to, when there's a prevailing line either from the White House or from the news about stuff that kind of people jump on, it becomes, whether it's true or not, it becomes the prevailing theory because of volume. And one of the things about, like, the Argentina deal, besides the fact that they are just trying to salvage his election, that's more about like the last minute timing of this. The pesos down there is too strong. They could have ridden it out for another 8 months, but they want to help him.
Well, it was a bunch of Besant's buddy that scooped up the Argentinian debt really cheap.
Yeah,
so that's why he's got to make sure that they don't actually fail and fall flat on their faces. Now he's got to try to pump up their economy to make sure that they don't lose their ass.
And Argentina is famously one of those crypto farming countries. They've had power going out because they got these crypto farms going around. Where Don Jr., I'm sure, is making weird regular trips down there to knock boots with the former Nazis that moved down there, their blonde great granddaughters, right?
They also owe tens of billions to the IMF as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've also been known to renege and not pay back their loans. So there's no good reason why any investment person would put in $20 billion to make money on Argentina. It doesn't make any sense.
Unless you're planning a rug pull. Unless you're planning a rug pull, which is also possible. You can make money both directions, which is why Besant is the most suspect person in all of this. Because, again, Scott Besant used to work for George Soros. When did he work for George Soros? Was it when he started forming the Open Society and going on his apology tour like Bill Gates after he left Microsoft, being a dick for 2 decades, and he decided, I'm going to do some good because everybody hates me, because I almost wrecked the entire internet at one point, and I was trying to monopolize the internet, and everybody still hates me over that. I'll go cure malaria. It's cause marketing. I'm for it because it helps people, but let's not pretend we don't fucking know what it is. But Besant didn't work for Soros during the apology tour years. He worked for him when he made his money initially, which is by shorting the pound and fucking the entire British economy. He basically triggered an equivalent to the 2008 crash inside the UK by doing such volume. Like, people short currencies all the time, but he did it so much that it actually affected the economy of the UK in a very terrible way. He's like a villain by any sensible person in the UK. But Besant was working with him when he did it. And so Besant knows how to manipulate currencies, raise them up, sell a bunch of it, watch it drop, do it again. And because he's the position of power that he's in, inside the administration, and the fact that he's surrounded by fucking morons like Nutlick and Navarro, for fuck's sake, who also are making money on this. They're happy to catch table scraps in the billions from this. I have no doubt. Like Navarro's probably getting $100K every on his Robinhood account every time this happens. That's the best he's getting. But Nutlick's definitely aware and is like calling his broker daily. But Bessent is arranging this shit on behalf of Trump and largely, I would argue, Don Jr. and Eric. That they're moving out, like the Trump family, by and large. And Kushner was the first, like, I think, real flag laid in the top of this mountain. They're moving out of real estate and into FinSec, into the financial sector. They think crypto money laundering is the one way to stay rich in an AI economy in the future. And you can make money with anybody and nobody can trace it.
Right. There's a good Wall Street Journal video on YouTube, just a very short one, that gives you a good look at why Donald Trump is kind of doing what he's doing with the money and how Javier Milei kind of got himself into trouble by trying to manipulate the peso and manipulate the reserves in his own country, and it ended up screwing him. And then it talks about also Scott Bessent's buddy, the hedge fund. So, you know, anybody out there that's kind of curious and wants to dive deep into that, there's, I believe, a Wall Street Journal video on there that kind of gives a little bit more information as to why. Because I'm sure a lot of people are like, what the fuck? Why are we sending billions to Argentina? Like I mean, the guy's a nut job. He's out there with fucking chainsaws and you know what I mean, he's throwing a concert in a stadium after getting $20 billion. Like that was a good look, right?
Yeah, totally.
We need $20 billion from the States. Let me throw a fucking concert.
Yeah. So and the other thing too is like the weird thing is that, and I think this is kind of the upside of this and a lesson for all humanity, is that Trump is going to probably gather the biggest nest egg he has ever had. He is as rich as he has ever been in his life for real. He's above the line for the first time in his life in a major way. Probably $8 to $10 billion net worth now because of all this stuff between Don and Eric and all this shit. But it is going to crash. It is going to collapse because they're too stupid to run it, and there are too many really fucking dangerous, smart people out there that want those resources. So as soon as Donald Trump is not in charge anymore, that whole family, minus, I would say, Jared and Ivanka, who have feathered their nest separate from that, there will be places in the world they can't travel for their own physical safety, I think, in the Middle East especially. But everywhere else in the world, they'll be surrounded by an army of fucking, former, whatever, ex or she Blackwater guys. But that the Trump org is going to have a 2008. They're setting themselves up for it, if only because the people that they're working with know how it runs better than they do, and aren't going to want to go down with the ship. So they're going to bail out the second that's on the fucking horizon. And he, the only hope I have is that, I don't wish death on anybody. And in his particular case, I hope he lives long enough to see it happen. That's the thing. I don't think he will, though. I think he will die as rich as he has ever been, and lonely and isolated and surrounded by like sycophants and morons, and knowing it, because he fucking hates it. Like, this. Like, he's scared of the people who are smarter than him. That's more the problem he had with Elon Musk, was the myth of Elon Musk's genius scared the shit out of him because he felt paranoid about it. Same thing with Bessent. He knows Bessent is smarter than him, and it scares the shit out of him. And anybody else, he's like, I'm surrounded by morons. I can't even ask them what that guy's thinking, because if you're smart enough to be like Bessent, right, I can't trust you because I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about, even if you explained it to me in dunderhead terms. Right? And then anybody else around him is fucking useless. Like, Navarro's fucking useless. Navarro does not have the cognitive ability to outsmart fucking Bessent shorting the Trump's stock effectively, right? He just doesn't. And Trump has he knows it. He fucking knows it. Now, he might just be there so he can throw somebody to the dogs, right? But
I don't mean to. I know we're running out of time. I don't mean to switch things up, but I'm curious. What are you doing? Anything tomorrow for the No Kings? I mean, I should probably say bye to everybody right now while I'm on here, just in case Trump decides to lob a few missiles into Camp Pendleton, which is awfully close to where I am, and they just kind of go awry and decide to, I don't know, strike my neighborhood, or I don't know, maybe just start a fire somewhere, considering it's October in California, in Southern California, and it's probably not the smartest idea to be launching any type of, fireworks or missiles into anywhere at this point. I'm just curious, are you going to be?
Yeah, we'll be going. I think there's one here in Vegas that we're going to go down to. Yeah. And my favorite thing is to walk up to all the maggots who stand on the side and ask them how long it would have taken them to figure out Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile. Just always ask them that question. If you can get them on tape, how long would it have taken you to figure out that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile? And they all say 5 fucking minutes, man. Like, Trump was friends with him for a quarter century, you dumb son of a bitch. That means he was either a client, a benefactor, or a partner. You're
100% right. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think they're really going to have an actual answer to that
question.
They
clam up.
Even stick around to wait till you finish the question. But to anybody in your chat, to all the sparklers that will be getting out and getting loud and staying proud tomorrow, thank you so much. Make sure you guys are all staying safe. We had a couple pointers. Yesterday's show, we went over a couple things, or a bunch of things that you guys can do to kind of keep yourselves safe. Going with the big group, making sure you know the area that you going into, making sure you know like what some of them are going to be stationary, some of them are going to be parade routes, so make sure you know the routes. Make sure you're trying to stay towards the front or the middle. Don't hang in the back if you don't, if you're worried about some things happening, because chances are if any bad actors or any instigators are out there, they're not going to hang at the front. They're not going to attack the bigger crowd.
They're not going to cross the finish line early
at the back. If you're worried about that stuff, don't stick around after the sun goes down. If you're going to big cities, of course, that's different. If you're in, towns and in smaller towns and areas that you're more familiar with. But, if you're going into a big city and you're worried about things, don't stick around too long afterwards. There's a lot of things that you can do. If you don't have a group like friends and family to go with, put it out online. See if anybody in your, community online is going to the same rally. Maybe you can figure out a meetup spot. So that way, the more eyes you have in your group, the more eyes you have watching everybody's back at all times. And I just want everybody to remain safe and to remember, don't give the right anything. I mean, if there's ever a time, and this is so antithetical about to my personality, but there's ever a time to go out there and be as peaceful but forceful as humanly possible, and to not engage in any fuckery or property destruction, anything like that will give these people ammunition or any clips that they can play. Nothing. Go out there in a frog costume, go out there in an inflatable, go out there with a big fucking sign, go out there with your passion, your pride, your anger, your frustration in this with this regime. Go out there with all of that and go out there and make new friends, fucking feed off of the energy of like-minded people that are out there that are passionate about this country. But, just make sure you don't. And if you see people, make sure you try to keep everybody, it's not your job to police anybody, but try, if you can, to keep others in line if you see them maybe straying off the path and kind of, getting rambunctious or rowdy or anything. But, it's very important. I know it's basically impossible when you have this many events with this many people getting together, but just at all costs, let's stay peaceful, let's stay loud, let's stay proud, and let's get our messages out there so that they have nothing they can come back at us with.
Also, understand, we know this from their talk about Jan 6, their talk about the Patriot Front guys, that they always yell Fed. Okay, the reason they're doing that is because they're aware everything's a projection. That these guys, and I don't think they're going to be feds, that's not my point, is that these guys are all about agents provocateur. That's where Paul Manafort joining the Trump administration, or the campaign, and then hanging around afterward. That's what he was brought in for, is because you start these things and you go, see, there's crime in the streets. We've got to put these people down. And then you get to appear like there's tough on crime. There's a point where if I really put on my tinfoil hat, I would say that Trump's foreign buddies help create more violent crime in the United States by paying certain people to kill people just in gang wars and other kind of stuff. You can jack up the fucking crime and say, see, crime is terrible. We have to bring it down, and only tough guys can do it. And so don't fall into that. They will attempt that. The other thing I would say is funny signs. A single silly song did more to bring down the king than did all the protestations of the bishops. And that has never been more true today. I had a revelation when I was talking to my son, because he's incredibly smart, about how why we haven't made more headway with people about like climate change, for example, on the right. And it's because we feel shame about damage to the environment. I do. I think you do. I think most people do. That they, if people even feel bad about still driving a gas car, those kind of things. Like if you feel that, that means that you have the empathy and the capability of feeling shame about the environment. You cannot address these people as if they will feel shame about the environment. If you want them to care about, you have two options. You can embarrass them, make them feel stupid for clinging to old technology like they're a fucking, Amish Luddite or whatever. If you still want to burn a, liquid dinosaur, right? That's how you mock them. Or you have to inspire them to innovate. That's the only other angle that those people operate in. Either fix the problem through innovation, or step aside because you're clinging to the old. And those two things are the only thing that work with them. They don't work with us because we don't need that to work with us, right? We're motivated because we care. They don't care. And I would argue that that's the thing about embarrassment and shame. If they're incapable of feeling shame, you cannot shame them into doing anything.
And I feel like that will work with ICE too. I mean, just think of how stupid you'd feel if you're out there in riot gear with a loaded fucking AR-15,
that's right,
staring at a fucking inflatable frog, or a group of really peaceful people.
Right, and Portland police, Chicago police, like the mayors in all these cities, when those like National Guard are put around ICE facilities or whatever, back the perimeter up blocks away from it. Just do it. Don't let them get that close, because that's the footage that these guys want, and they will jumpstart this footage on purpose. So back everybody up so that the only footage they get of the National Guard is them standing around in an empty parking lot. That's how you handle it. It's not how we wish we had to handle it. It's not how, best case scenario, people should be able to stand there right at the line and tell them what they think and all that and protest or whatever. But it's not going to be effective to these folks, because what they want is the footage of these confrontations. And so don't give it to them. That's why the frog suits work so well. That's why silly signs work so well. And that's why you have to be away from them. If you're going to protest, don't protest at the site. Go down and do a real protest at a federal building or a city hall that has no relation to where those guys are standing. Someplace else. Do it in a park. That's why Occupy Wall Street worked to some degree in that regard, because they had a right to be. They didn't stand in front of a bank and block it. They didn't surround the fucking Fed. Right? It meant something, and it gave you that room to do it where they couldn't go, they're here to set fires. And that's what they want. The agitators, need that to turn this stuff on. So that's why these marches, when they're peaceful and it's about volume, get your ass out there. Thank you, Boston Brian, for being on with me this morning, my brother. It's too long between these things. I'm coming in for the next jam will be Halloween, and I'm probably going to dress as Ace Frehley at this point. Very possibly, bless his heart. His weird little heart. He was a strange man. He really, really was. It's one of those strange things when you eulogize one of your childhood heroes who was full of abject fuckery at different points. But I will say that none of my favorite rock stars have ever had sex with anyone who didn't want to have sex with them. So I'm very proud of that fact. They might have been up there in the volume numbers, but they never took something that wasn't theirs. And that people get points for that in my book, right? Well, I'm not gonna
I always appreciate your time, my brother. I really, really do. I thank you for having me on. We got to make sure it's not so long in between the times that I get to go on here and talk to you, because it's just too much to get in an hour, and we end up kind of breezing through some important stuff, trying to get to all of it. But can I make one last plea to the Sparklers, if I may?
Yes.
So if I may, I would like to do my best to try to get the Sparkler community to join the Blunt Politics community. I know a ton of you are in there already. I'd like to do my best to try to win over the rest of the crowd.
Yes.
I've done my absolute best to not step on anybody's toes, so it doesn't interrupt with HAL's show. So you can watch us both. I promise. I made sure. There's one day, but that's only because I do that with this space, and it has nothing to do with really mine. I do an hour show on Wednesday. I apologize about that, but it's how it is. But
that's how it's got to be.
Would like to, we're on We're on Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and I would just ask you guys to just give me a shot if you'd like to come over. Hear me out.
Beautiful.
If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, hit me with a subscription. If not, you can pop right back over to HAL. But we're trying to grow the community because it's a struggle. It really is. It's not easy. It really
no,
isn't.
it is not.
So,
it's taken me a long time, and I'm very proud of the community we've built, but it takes work. It absolutely does. You're awesome, my brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you guys.
I
appreciate you, man.
Thanks so much.
Later,
okay, cheers. And chat room, I'll bring you in for 1 second while I switch my little cameras and labels around to get Tara Devlin in here, who is waiting in the wings as well. And there we go. 1 second. I love doing my own my own gardening here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll bring her right in. Tara Devlin from Tara Busters. Hi, there you are.
Hi. Yes, thank you.
Yes. So I don't.
What's happening?
Nothing. Just kind of hanging. Not really much in the news.
I wish, right? Wouldn't that be nice? I feel so. Ugh. It would be so wonderful to just be like, yeah, nothing. What's going on?
Yeah. What's up with you? I don't know. I've been binge watching another show. And I got to tell you, by the way, there's a version of that that's coming before too long because Trump is. There was a great description of him by Steve Bannon. He meant this in a bad way. But how Republicans in the House are viewing Trump, the ones that even Mike Johnson to some degree, which we'll get into in a minute. But he said they're viewing him like a summer storm.
Really?
Right. That they are they're going, this is going to pass, and we've got to be ready for when it does to either rebuild or move or something. And they know, and so the end is near. And so I face the shower curtain. That was my you dropped out for a second.
What happened?
That's okay. We're all right. We're being attacked by the deep state, obviously. But
Yes, no doubt.
we have been. So welcome, Tara Devlin, host of Tara Busters on Fridays as well. We'll throw it your way.
Thank you.
You're stacking a lot of show today, right?
Yes. No. No. Tonight we have the live show, and there'll be more shows. I'm telling you. I'm just doing a pre-announcement. It's not good. It'll be more than just Fridays coming up soon. So I don't know.
Very
exactly,
exciting. Nice.
In a couple of weeks, maybe.
Just so you know, I think you might be on a room mic or your headphone mic or something.
Oh
not
no!
Your radio
Are
mic.
you kidding me?
You sound fine. You sound fine, but it's roomier than your close-up radio mic would be. But it's okay.
Shit. Hello.
Language.
Sometimes it needs a
kidding. Hey, there it is. That's it.
Right?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, it's this audio interface. Maybe it's reaching its last legs or something because it needs to be reset more and more.
Yeah, I restarted my entire system this morning when I came back because I've been out of town, and I didn't have to, but I was like, you know what? Been gone for 4 days. Probably should just turn off the computer and let it cool, and then do it again, right?
I was watching your live stream demo, which I totally forgot that you had made. You made a demo how to make a live stream.
Yeah.
And Cosmic Rose sent it to me.
Aw.
And it's very helpful. Thank you, really.
Oh,
Thank you.
my pleasure.
And she's really been helping me too. And you, I don't understand where you get the time to do these things.
Well, I obviously
you're such I just want people to know this, though. You know what I'm saying? Because this is who you are. Like, you're a helper, and you help other people make content, so we can really flood the zone with, the progressive solution that will save this country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been helped by other people, and I did my own work, and I'm paying both of those forward. My own little demon that's in my head that makes me study too much. That makes me dive into everything. There's a value to that I'm lucky I have. And so it's really easy to just kind of go, oh, guys, in case you need this, I built this thing.
It's incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's just who you are. It just shows your heart. I'm just telling everybody who doesn't know that side.
It's
you're for real.
Thank you. I don't especially when it comes to politics. When it comes to, it's interesting because when we're dealing with political topics, and this has been the work of my life currently, since COVID, I was like, all right, got to do something to both pay the bills and feel worthwhile, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I've always been a big believer in that sort of do what you love and the money will come. In that regard, or just keep working, and people will find value in something. If you're
Right.
adding value, people will recognize that and go, thanks for the added value. And
Yep.
so and that's both something you have to build to. That I read a book a long time ago, and it was the title did more for me than the book did, I will say. This is Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. And
wow.
and I didn't, in the case of this, I didn't have the ability to do that because, the economy went away. All my live shows evaporated during COVID. Production went away, and I was like, I got to do something because I got a kid and a house, and health insurance, the stuff you need.
Yes.
And I got to do something, right? And so I was like, all right, well, what have everybody else learned? I'll just grab what I can and try to put that together. And then I was like, oh, this will help other people too if they're trying to do the same thing because we're all in the same boat, right? So that's why I did that video ultimately.
That's amazing. No, I'm just saying, like, a lot of people even wouldn't even think of doing that. You would just learn it and, take what you learn, and but you are sharing it with
yes, right.
it's just,
And I gotta say, glad to help. Any further. If you ever need, just reach out. And if you're having issues and I can help with them, I will gladly do it. So I've done it with a bunch of people.
Wonderful.
We got Boston Brian up and running. So and just like stacking on his thing, and now he's a friggin' pro. It's so good.
Right. I love what you do. All your little, when somebody joins, a little monster comes out and things like that.
right. That was all the stuff I was like, why should gamers have all the fun, right? So, right? So you put your little alert box up and that kind of stuff.
I gotta do that. Yeah.
And there are times when I pare it down and then I do more of it or whatever, because some of it's great, some of it's distracting, and some of the things there's an element of it, and then we'll get to the politics of the day because we have plenty to talk about. But there's elements of it that when you're talking about a really serious topic can make it a little too, it can interrupt. And so there are times when, I built a little like alert button thing where I can turn it off when we're talking about something that's fucked up. So I don't have like Pac-Man come across the screen or some little graphic come up, and whatever.
Yeah.
And so, I'm building back from that. And I'm like, how can I do one that no matter what I'm talking about, it can still happen and it doesn't fuck with people. I still haven't decided on what I like for that. So I'm still working on that from a artistic and design standpoint.
Just aesthetic. Yeah.
Right.
It's
so,
true. You're right.
Couple we were talking about everything under the sun with Boston Brian, and I think the primary one, that I brought up in the very beginning, which is this, Trump is living in spa, not spa right now. Everything he's doing, he's trying to flood the zone with bullshit. Right? So that you won't think about Epstein. It is that bad. And so all this stuff, think about all of it. Blowing up boats. He's blowing up boats in the waters off of Venezuela because the shit that's in the Epstein files is that bad.
Yep. Exactly. It's coming out though. This is inevitable.
Yes.
I just wonder what the excuse will be, and he's already floated some of them. It's AI. He said it's of course a Democrat hoax. All this other, he's
yes, because Democrats, when they create an anti-Trump hoax, they do it before he's running for office, and they include Bill Clinton, the last president that gave us a surplus. Right.
Exactly. It's sort of like January 6th, what did he just say about Biden's FBI starting January 6th? Even civilian.
Biden put feds in on January 6th. Right. Again, President Tapioca Brain now, like, first of all, he thinks that the Muslims and the Israelis have been fighting for 3,000 years.
Right. He doesn't understand history, of course. He doesn't understand. I mean, he doesn't know any. Like he said that social. What did he say recently? Oh no, Marxism is hasn't worked for thousands of years, even though it's relatively new.
Yeah. Right. Philosophy.
So
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and again, it's so funny. Like, I feel like sometimes there are rooms to criticize all systems. There are rooms to criticize the function of how they work and better them, and that's what you do. You tinker around the edges and you go, you sort of salad bar the best possible scenario when there are good ideas. That's why America has thrived. That's why immigration was so integral to that. I guess, Operation Paperclip aside, which is true because Werner von Braun was a Nazi rocket scientist made to make rockets largely against his will for the Nazis, and they were going to kill him lest anybody else get him at the end. So we scooped him up and put a bunch of them in Huntsville, Alabama, because they liked it because it looked like Deutschland in the springtime. And and Trump that's why he's all in on Huntsville, by the way, again, because the people around him. Yeah, because people around him know this.
Did they tell him this about the Nazi connection?
No. They just like it, and so they're like, "There's some guys though,
right.
That kind of thing."
It's like the poles, the flag poles that they put up are 88 feet tall.
Yes.
So I know that's, of
Heil
course,
Hitler.
that's a message
that's the two
that
H's.
somebody
Right.
sent.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think Trump knew it necessarily.
Trump has no idea about this.
No, I can't count that high right now.
No.
Right. But okay, so let's start in with a couple of things. The primary one, of course, is that No Kings is tomorrow, and Trump. I think all the stuff he's doing is again, like I said, it's not spa, and so he's trying to get everything so that when the Epstein stuff comes out, he can go, I brought crime down to nothing. I fixed inflation. I stopped 37 wars. I killed a bunch of crack dealers in boats who were coming here to stab people with fentanyl knives in their chest, right? Even though fentanyl, by the way, is still as available in the United States as it has ever been, it is the same price on the street. I read this whole index thing from the DEA and stuff where they're breaking down, availability. So it was never the southern border. The whole fentanyl southern border thing was always bullshit.
Right.
Everybody in the administration except Trump knows it. And so here's the big question, Tara Devlin, big question for you. Do the people around, do the awful people, the Stephen Millers et al. Around Trump, know that his thinking on these things is a mile wide and an inch deep? And so they're the ones doing these kind of things, and they're just feeding him just enough information for him to say something that sounds like populism.
Huh. That's interesting. He's a moron, and he watches a lot of TV. That's where he gets his information from. So I don't even know if they bother filling him in on what they're up to.
Right.
And that's why he repeats everything all the time, and he'll just go right back to trans for everyone.
Yes.
And he runs out of thoughts, and that's pretty quickly. Right. Or he'll point to, he's making an arch now. They're keeping him distracted with little swatches. That's what Tony Schwartz, who not co-wrote, what am I saying? He he was the ghost writer for Art of the Deal.
Right.
He said that Trump is not a deal maker. He's not a businessman. And in fact, what he did, he spent his time looking at swatches. That's what he did. That was his role in the Trump organization, picking swatches where he would, say, I need this rug, get me the chandelier,
right?
Things and he would pay retail for too. That's what he said. So that's why they went bankrupt. That's why he went bankrupt in a casino, because he doesn't know how to make deals.
And it's even dumber than that. He thinks, and this is amazing, he thinks if you pay the retail price, it's more expensive. That means it's better.
Right. You're right. That's it. Because they would tell him,
if you bought the same thing wholesale, you get it cheaper. He thinks that means it's lower quality.
Yes. Yes, you're right. You're right. And that's why they would try to explain to him that no, if we buy in bulk, we have this, we have, and it, this is an advantage. You have a deal making advantage here. And he said, no, just get it. Just get it. And
Yeah.
that's why when the accountant, who was an actual accountant in the casinos, told him, you're going to be bankrupt within a month, he fired the guy and sued him. And then when they went to court, of course, he was the what do you call it? The accountant was exonerated and all that. But that's what Trump does. He's a filthy fascist liar. And it's just an abomination what we're witnessing. And the fact that he could sit there in the Oval Office or wherever the hell and just spew lie after lie, and nobody gives him a follow-up question, it's just disgusting. Well, explain, whatever.
Right.
What's a tariff, sir? Explain it. You
Right.
know, give us
Right.
a little. Give
If it's
us
your
the
favorite
elevator
word,
speech.
if it was your favorite word, you should be able to spout the definition instantaneously. Like, well, Merriam-Webster says it's this, but there's some variance in other definitions of,
Exactly.
right? You'd be able to do that if it was your favorite word. This is how you know he's not a Christian, because any Christian that if you bump into them too hard, they'll go, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, for whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. They're like, John 3:16 will fall out of their face. And he couldn't quote Jesus wept.
No.
Right.
No. That's right. That's why he's like, oh, it's just too personal to me. He's just such a scam artist, and I'm just so tired of everyone enabling it. That's what we're witnessing. It's just a giant mass hysteria of us, the entire civilization, enabling this filthy fascist con man, this tax cheating, draft dodging, wannabe dictator, con man with a fake university, a multi-level marketing vitamin scam. I mean, he's never innovated anything. He's never brought anything to the table. Everything he's done is a scam. Everything he's done is just like feed off people's addictions and whatnot. He's done it badly. He's just a grifter on every level, and no one will.
Therein lies his value. Therein lies his value to the people around him. Like, oh, okay, this asshole can sell stuff to a certain group of people who are normally deluded to the point of paranoia about anything the government does. So we put this guy in, and hand him pages of Project 2025 to sign, and maggots will just have to swallow it. The amount of things that he's doing, never mind the stuff that we're horrified or offended by that Trump does. Never mind that. The amount of things that, like, maggots are rolling over for, that they just, like, their heads would pop off.
Oh, God,
we've done if Biden, if Obama, if anybody.
Yep.
Right. But they'll let him get away with it because it's messianic, their trust for him. It's really fucking odd.
It's fucked up. Yeah.
But it's such a coin. It's got, it's not a sphere. It doesn't have multi-facets. It's got one side or the other. Yeah. And when Trump coin flips over, it's done. Like, there is there is no heir apparent. There just isn't, because of what they've asked of maggots. He was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years. The idea that the QAnons supported this dude that is a perfect example of how willing they are to cast aside all of their alleged beliefs. They're the ones that they actually define their personalities on. They break up with family members over this shit, right?
Yep.
And then but they let him get away with it. They support him in doing this. Now, obviously, his numbers have gone down a tremendous amount, especially since July, since that fucking memo, and it's not coming up. He's doing these little spike things because they like the idea, they like what they're being sold about, say the Gaza peace plan or something like that, temporarily, but it doesn't last. It all has a shelf life of like 72 hours before they even after Charlie Kirk's death, they were all like, what was it? Maybe 48 hours. Once they caught the guy, they were basically like, all right, it's bullshit. This is bullshit. And I was like, this is exactly who you said it was going to be. It's exactly what you wanted. No wonder you're fucking paranoid.
Right. Well, I was actually relieved that he gave Charlie Kirk the Medal of Honor in just a small ceremony. I thought he was going to make a big deal out of it during the State of the Union or something like that.
He may still.
Which is, yeah, he might. Yeah,
He'll
probably
probably have her come
Erica,
up and hold it,
Yeah.
show it to everybody. Like, he does
Right.
he does the like I did a boom boom in my poopy diaper thing with everything. Because again, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like that's what he's doing with these
It's
little
so
pages.
true.
It's like a child holding up his diaper, like I poop in the thing.
Right. You're right. And he's pooping on like on our entire civilization, and that's why I just don't understand why the mass hysteria of enabling is going on. Like, for example, who the F is he to, first of all, fire people? That's the other thing. The president doesn't have the power of the purse. So obviously Mike Johnson is useless. He's the talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. He's a completely redundant role at this period of time. He's just generally abdicated the entire Congress to the executive. So what's he doing there? And Congress has been off for over 300 days. They've had they're on, it's not, whether it be vacation or the shutdown or just time away, they are getting paid leave for the past 300 days. And so they're not doing anything.
Right.
And but what's so distressing is that the enabling, the media not pointing out that every time that Trump does something that involves a budget or money, like he wants to pay certain federal
Workers.
employees that are
And
off
not others.
because, right. You can't do that.
No.
This is illegal. Why are we going along? It's like that when he when he first started issuing his bullshit executive orders, shutting down entire federal agencies. I don't understand why. And then there would be breaking news, and why the corporate media wouldn't report this is, completely illegal, and everybody should just laugh at it and put it in the circular file next to our desks, because that's as much weight as these executive orders hold. You can't shut down an entire. He wants to close the Consumer Protection Financial Bureau and all that, and every other agency that he does. It's not up. You're not the king.
Right. Well, that's right. And the weird thing is that he got this idea largely from watching Fox News that he could be a king, because they talked about Obama all the time when he would get, or even Biden, where he would get a bill passed through normal order, like all the stuff you don't see because it happens in committee and they mark stuff up, and then a bill goes to the floor, and even if it's a party line vote, it's still a vote. It still goes through the whole process. Obama didn't shove the ACA down anybody's throat, which was this odd sexualization thing that they threw around.
That's
or
what
whatever.
they love. They love it. They love saying that. Shove down our throats.
Right.
Praising Dr. Freud, right?
Yeah,
really.
Seriously. But that's where he got it from. And when they got in the first time especially, he was very disappointed to find out that no, it doesn't work like that. That your executive orders all end with this addendum at the end that says this doesn't create any new law. It doesn't change the appropriation of funds. It's basically a memo of intent to your people to focus on a particular issue with the slush fund available to every administration for whatever their priorities are. So there's always, let's say it costs $20 billion to bare bones run an organization or something like that. You get 22 in the budget so that the president can prioritize, because he was elected by a plurality of votes in the country, prioritize certain elements of that agency, not get rid of it, not undercut it, and he doesn't have to spend it. So famously, what most presidents have done is spend less and less of that secondary money to drive down the deficit. That's what Biden did. It's what Obama did. It's what Clinton did in coordination with Congress to cut spending and not overspend on pet projects. Well, Trump's not doing any of that shit. Like, he's spending money because it ain't his. This is exactly how he bankrupt his companies. Like the idea that our debt or our deficit are going to go down. The deficit is up. It's up $300 million plus from last year. or more than that. It's because it was I want to say it was like what 1.1 for fiscal year 2024 under Biden, and it's up. It's 1.8 right now.
Because it's just like the last time. How much he added? What was it? 2 trillion or 4 trillion? The numbers escaping me now. To the deficit that they pretend to care so much about in the first maladministration, and now it's going to be the same thing.
Right.
All these tax breaks, and the fact that he left office with the worst jobs record since Herbert Hoover. I mean, everything Trump touches, he destroys.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. It is a mass hysteria. I think that the country is suffering from a PTSD, I believe, a mass, sickness and of trauma. And this enabling of this horrible person that has no business being anywhere near power. And I don't know, I guess we're going to have to, and that's why it's going to be, there's more pain ahead. What's waking these maggots up is the fact that they're feeling the pain. Like that lady who called Mike Johnson when he was on C-SPAN, I'm a Republican. What? Why? Why are you a Republican, lady? This is talk about slitting your own throat. Why are you voting Republican? Republicans do nothing for the people they pretend to represent, except, trans people have to hold it in. Instead of using a public restroom, they have to hold it in all the way home. And I mean, that's all they have is hate and division and lies. Like Mitch McConnell, he's retiring. I don't know how he's going to show his face in his state since he's been in office.
He doesn't anyways. I'm from Kentucky. True. He doesn't show his face. I was thinking about I'm running for office, obviously. I'm going to run for president in 2028, and obviously it's a long shot, but I'm still, look, at the very least, if I can be standing there when Marianne Williamson pipes up again, I can go, excuse me. But I was thinking about because after Katie Porter's sort of flame out and stuff, and I was like,
oh, yeah.
I'm like, if you're going to run for office, and I don't know why, especially if you're running for statewide office as a senator, if you're one of 2 senators for the state, the idea that you wouldn't know the whole state, that you wouldn't, and that they wouldn't know you. Because it's one thing to be a congressperson. The reason why senators make more and have more influence is because they represent a much bigger group of people. Quite frankly, they have more constituents and more to answer for, in theory. And so, to me, if you were running for Senate, you should be all over the fucking state that you're from, to where you can, remember when Al Franken can draw the entire map, state lines and everything from memory. He just draws it out, and he can do it out of order and all that kind of stuff. I think that's the level of intent that you have to have if you're running for office, whatever the district is, whether you're running for Congress or mayor or whatever. Know your space. Know as much about it as you possibly can, because you have to care about all of it. You have to be aware of the gaps in your own knowledge, and you have to be aware of the gaps in the knowledge of the people that you're representing, so you can articulate, hey guys, the reason we're doing this, and you guys may not deal with this every day, but it's a huge part of the state. It's a huge part of your district. That's what's keeping us afloat right now. And I don't want you guys to turn on on people, that are different from you or in your district. If they went away, or these businesses left, or this law didn't get passed, you will get screwed by this, even if you don't think it applies to you. Here's how it applies to you. I know this area. I know this district. Okay. Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul, by the way, who's a fucking carpetbagger, neither one of them could make it across Kentucky and not end up in Tennessee without a driver.
Right.
They wouldn't even they would drive through a town. They wouldn't even know if they were still in Kentucky. It's just, even if they had a map on the fucking, right in front of them, it fucking drives me crazy. Like, if you're gonna be representative,
why did they vote for him? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because he brought levels of industry at one point, and there's this weird thing in Republicans, and I posted this on my Blue Sky the other day because it shocked me that some ideas, when I have them, I'm like, why did it take me so long to figure that out? I should have, but I got a lot going on. But I was like, the meritocracy crowd made the Speaker of the House the guy from the state that is last in everything except cancer clusters.
Wow. Yep.
It's Louisiana. Right. They didn't go, okay, let's take our, and by the way, he got, the guy who got drummed out is the guy from California, whatever, fifth or fourth largest economy in the world. Obviously a congressman from a state that wins. Not his district. Bakersfield has the highest murder rate in the country half the time, per capita. And so why in the fuck, and by the way, of course.
And when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what?
Right.
Shut up. Oh my God.
Yeah. So
it's beyond.
So I've said this a couple times, like Trump bitches about American education. And how we're 44th in the world or some shit. We'd be like 7th in the world.
Yes, it's actually
if it wasn't for red states.
Between 4th and 6th, depending on how you factor the numbers. Because I just looked this up recently.
Without if you cut the red states out, especially like Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, what was the other one? There was like 5 of them that were like, if you cut those 5, you cut those 5, and they're not just at the bottom. They're a fucking anchor. They drag
like the albatross. Yep.
Yes, they weigh the whole number down. So bad. They're so bad that
worst.
that as high like fucking New York State, California, Washington State, and a few others are basically Northern European countries as far as their education standards and quality.
Yes. Top 10 for education.
Every
I'm
time.
Looking it up right now.
Yeah.
Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, Vermont, Virginia, Maryland, Colorado, Maine. Yeah.
You know what those states have in common besides being blue states? They spend more per student on education than anywhere else. When Trump says we spend more on education per student than anywhere else, that's because we spend a shit ton in the Northeast and the mandated level in red states. That's why. And God damn. Yeah. So they
do nothing for the people. They do nothing. They make it worse.
You're going to take the dude from Louisiana and make him Speaker of the fucking House.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Not one of your Republicans that you managed to get elected in a state that has great resources, great funds, great life expectancy, all the standards that meritocracy should give you, industry, all this other stuff. Then you're like, I'm responsible. We have the greatest college in my district. We have the greatest this in my district. I've been serving here for 5 terms, and we started out and we're fucking amazing. Like, that's the guy in theory you should make Speaker. Now, as much as they complain about Nancy Pelosi, for example, the rise of Silicon Valley and the courting of both democratic values inside San Francisco and the surrounding area and the quality of industry in that area makes San Francisco effectively during the tech boom has gone from a really nice city to integral to the existence of the United States. Right now, like the AI companies that are carrying the stock market on its back are all in that area. And so, think what you will. And the other thing, too, is like everybody's like, Nancy Pelosi was broke when she came in and she invested and everything went through the roof. Like, she lives in the tech sector. That's all they talk about. Like, that's, of course, that's stuff in her district. She invested in her district, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? And so did the rest of them. But that's another conversation for another time.
Right.
But they pick the dumbest motherfuckers. And then, so to Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is from Kentucky. Besides being a state that is almost completely kept afloat by tobacco and then later weed.
Yep.
That's the economy of the state. Sorry. The only thing he brought in was that Russian aluminum plant, which pollutes the fuck out of Eastern Kentucky water supplies and all that kind of stuff. The rest of the state didn't blossom in the time that he's gone there. It rose with the technology of everything else ever so slightly. But lagging behind. So why the fuck would you make him speak like the majority leader in the Senate? What does he bring to the table that's amazing at all? Same thing. And so these meritocracy assholes and Trump being this kind of like asshole flim-flam man, like he's not Bezos. He's not Mark Cuban.
No. He's not even one. I mean, when they masters of real estate in New York got together. They weren't like, wait, where's Trump?
Yeah.
You know,
like,
let's
fuck,
can't
here
have
comes
this
Trump.
meeting without him.
Right. It's the opposite. Like when he shows up, they're like, fucking hell. We got to get out the coloring books. We got to explain everything to Dum again.
Yes. He's a con artist. And I live in New York my whole life. I've told the story.
You don't sound like it.
But oh, really?
I'm just kidding.
You can't tell. And so a woman who used to cut my hair, she told me, you know, we all have stories. People have stories. She was telling me that one of her other clients was she was part of one of these big charities. Mm-hmm. And every year they had a giant gala dinner for all the big contributors. Mm-hmm. And Trump, however, he didn't contribute, but he would get a ticket. And then at the end of the dinner, they would have a commemorative photo. And of course, the con man would get his ass in the photo when he didn't contribute a dime to it. And
he would sit on the platform with the big donors when they'd have one of those big like row tables or whatever. He'd insist they put a seat for him. He didn't give any money at all. As a matter of fact, he and his fucking dipshit son Eric stole from charities. They can't run a charity in New York State anymore.
That's right. And but you're the photographer. You're just, he knows this. You're just some, lowly photographer. You're not going to be like, excuse me, you're not supposed to be in this photo. So they would just take the fucking photo and that's it. But this is who he is. He's got no honor. That's what it is. He has no honor. He has no decency.
Right.
And I just don't get it. I don't understand. I feel like everyone who voted for him should be ashamed of themselves, but they're shameless. And we've been talking about this. I know I was listening to you earlier, and it's true. And I wrote an article on the Political Voices Network about, make shame great again, because just these young Republicans who aren't that young, who should know better, talking like that amongst themselves. They're just so vile. They have no shame. They have no decency. And, it's, you can't really reach people without shame.
Well, you can. You just can't try to use shame to do it.
Right. You have to embarrass them. Mm-hmm.
There has been, I don't know if you saw this, like, young Republicans story that broke where there was this chat that got out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The chat with all, I love Hitler, and it's not just a one-off. And even if, I don't know, you can go through all my chats when I was a kid.
Right.
And you will not find one I love Hitler among them all. Among all of the
I find that hard to believe. No, I'm just kidding.
It's true.
Even in irony. Yeah, right.
Right. Not even in, well,
maybe
S. in irony or trying to be funny, but.
Yeah. /S, which is, I think, the old internet way of telling people you were being sarcastic for posterity, which,
Yes.
But yeah, these are the ones we're talking about. Like, these guys were just like, and again, this is the kind of thing that like Trump unleashes. It's also why, by the way, I do not automatically subscribe to the youth will save us idea.
Oh yeah, I know. It's terrible.
Just there are a lot of like young people that were lost to this ideology because of its authoritarian appeal, its lack of complexity, because it seems less complex. It also seems like if you're presented with a simple problem, the solution should be equally simple. So if it's just there are bad people running around, you have to get the bad people, and good guy with a gun kills a bad guy with a gun, right? That sounds, if you're an infant, if your brain isn't done cooking, if you're, which it doesn't until you're about 25 years old, you look for solutions like that, largely because the rest of your life seems so complicated as you're growing that you can't, you don't have the brain pan right now for the complexity of those thoughts. So rarely do people do it. But and these these kids were on a family level fed this shit. You could argue that that applies to Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson was raised a maggot, and in doing so, was convinced that there are simple solutions to complex
violence.
problems. Right. That violence
Second
is a
Amendment
solution.
remedies.
That's right.
Isn't that what they talked about? Second Amendment remedies, even though it's a complete misreading of the Second Amendment, of course, but that's what they do. And everything is simplified. I always say it takes a level of maturity to function in a free democratic society that these maggots and this Republican Party just does not have. That's why everything is simple. They love the flags, the eagles, but they don't love the substance of patriotism. They like the symbols, like a child. A child, yay, we. But so, what's the substance, really?
Again, I would argue make complexity great again. That if anybody's trying to sell you a simple solution, they're a simpleton, especially if it's been a problem that's been going on forever, something like crime or homelessness or a peace process.
7 wars.
Right, exactly. Can I show you something about the guys who left those text messages real quick? I think this... oh,
God, yeah.
Do you think there's a level of compensation that is going on? Because they all look like Cabbage Patch Kids.
Right. They're not exactly the masters of the universe. Or,
And yet...
the manly men.
If you looked at... And again, this goes to that whole, Trump attempting to, court this hyper-masculinized idea and what that standard is. And by doing it largely online, whether through TikTok or other shit, there's going to be that's how people are trained to talk. Even if you don't look the part, you can act the part and relatively anonymously online. And you create this effect of, for all the fuckery that these guys go after, furries about, that's their next big target, trans people and furries, right?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Right? That all of these guys if you showed a picture of this to any, standard maggot crowd, and you went, this dude voted for trans bathrooms, they'd totally buy it. You know what I mean? They would look at these, they would immediately go, that's exactly what I expected him to look like. That's exactly where they would, right? That's exactly where they would go. They would immediately assume that this guy, if he is indeed a guy, right? You could see them.
He looks like a lesbian.
He does.
He looks like Leia Delaria, really.
Right. Yes. Right. And so if you showed a picture of this to these guys, you go, do you think this is the butch guy that was talking about how superior he is to everybody else online for the Restore Young Republicans movement? Right. It's Pat. Yes. People are in the chat are like, it's Pat. Right. No, this is when Trump, it's always projection. When they're talking about these basement dwelling mama's boys, right?
That are taking advantage of Medicaid, that they're playing video games in their basement, because that's like a big problem that America faces.
And libtards like me apparently don't go to the gym, right? That's the idea. It's like I don't understand it. And maybe this is what we're seeing, maybe more than anything else. And we may have stumbled on something pretty beautiful here. Tara Devlin, who is host of the Tara Busters on Friday, so check it out today, is that we are living in the age of overcompensation. That the branding movement and the Instagram movement and TikTok and those kind of things have created an overcompensation pandemic. It's a pandemic of overcompensation. The Miles of the world, the Vladimir Putin who's dying, Trump who's fading, this cosplaying. And again, I've never been a big fan of the toxic masculinity story or whatever, being masculine myself and yet having long hair. I find, I have a hostility to people co-opting. It's like feminazi to me. You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like. But it seems to me that it's largely out of these guys compensating.
Yeah.
Yelling, hey guys, wait up, to the Andrew Tates of the world or something like that. Who, by the way,
they hate themselves. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. It is and that brand, for all they slam about trans woman isn't a woman and a trans man isn't a man, and they get that kind of thing. These words have meaning. Well, I again, this goes to both the masculinity of these guys and this kind of genetic superiority. We've always seen those pictures of the white supremacists in the South who are like big as a house or obviously thick-brained and just like weak on.
Yeah, but like, remember that guy Mike Vanderboe? I think about him sometimes. He died a long time ago, but he was part of this thing called the Sippy Street Militia, and then he was the one that was like, break their windows. It was during Obamacare, the Obamacare debate, whatever that was, when the maggots, when they were called teabaggers at the time, were disrupting town halls and screaming, and this is what they do. They don't bring any, rational conversation. They were screaming and disrupting town halls about Obamacare.
Right.
And this guy was, and it was right around the time that the Giffords got shot, and he got some notice because he was writing on his blog at the time to break the Democratic Party windows and, attack Democrats because, freedom and all this other shit. And it ended up, and some, crack journalist found out that this guy was on all kinds of social, insurance. He was on disability.
Right,
he was
of course.
on,
like Ayn Rand.
Yes, exactly. And he was, but his whole excuse was, oh, I felt bad. I felt down on hard times, and like shut your filthy fascist mouth, because they all want the benefits of civilization. They just don't want to share with other people because they have a moral and spiritual and psychological failing that they're inflicting on the rest of us. And they should be ashamed. Really.
He said the ACA carries the strong steel fist of government at its heart or at its center or whatever. Right. Yeah.
Right. But he wouldn't even he wouldn't have had any blog or any roof over his head to spew his hate if not for the liberals that fought and bled and died to provide him some kind of social.
Thanks, Al Gore.
Some dignity, so he could sit there on his internet machine that was created through government R&D and scream about government. I'm so sick of these people, and I really hope we're all getting saturated by them too. That's the other thing. One thing that might come out of this horrible time is that people are sick of this shit. We're sick of the selfishness. Like that lady who called up Mike Johnson. Oh, I'm a Republican. Well, why are you voting Republican? You want to hurt other people, but now that it's visiting your house, you want to take it back. You want them to do something about it. But they're so good at voting to hurt everybody else. But the fact is, we're in this together, and it's time that I think that we all need to figure this out. Like, I mean, the whole thing of sending troops into blue states. Imagine if this were because I'm old enough to remember how they were going on about how Obama wants to be a king.
Oh,
right?
For God's sake.
Oh my God.
And Jade Helm and all these like exercises the military would do.
Jade Helm,
after 9/11, you don't think the military is going to do like, hey, what if they actually got troops in the country? We've got to game that out or whatever. But they were going to put us in the conservatives are going to be in FEMA coffins, according to Alex Jones, right?
That's
and
right. Yeah,
Obama had 8 years to do it, to take your guns and put you in a FEMA coffin, and he didn't do it because he was never going to do it. Meanwhile, Trump gets in, and he's sending the military into cities specific that don't ask for it. So fuck states' rights, right?
Yep.
This has got
everything. They're just full of shit. I mean, who the fuck is Greg Abbott to send his National Guard? That's what it really offends me.
Right.
To any other state, how dare they? This is right. I mean, everyone who ever died fighting the Confederacy is rolling in their graves.
Right.
This is disgraceful.
So, I mean, why go fight overseas so that you have less freedom at home? Like, and everybody on the right, a bunch of them are going, we're basically China now. Well, they were saying that under Biden. Like, you got your, and Biden didn't try any of this shit, you weirdo.
No.
Biden didn't put Palantir in charge of like a new surveillance state. This is fucking ridiculous. This has got to be my favorite quote of the week, though.
What I've seen is the abuse of law enforcement by radical leftist activists. Most recently, the most threatening thing I've seen yet was the naked bicyclers in Portland who were protesting.
That's the best. You little bitch.
Oh,
right?
so good.
Oh, the naked bike riders. What a threat.
Yeah.
They're so scary.
Think about what it takes to let that sentence come out of your fucking mouth.
Most
Are they
recently, the
for
most
real?
threatening thing I've
That's
seen.
it.
The most threatening thing I have seen.
Recently, the most threatening thing I've seen yet was the naked bicyclers in Portland.
Do they think people are going to buy this? That's the other thing that I wonder. Is it that they repeat it enough, and there? Of course, some people will be like, "Wow, that's a threat." But
how? They're naked. They're certainly not armed. Where are they hiding their guns? In the seat? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, they literally, I gotta say, like, there is, like, again, I don't know. Okay, black bloc person, Patriot Front, kind of Jan Sixer with a backpack with God knows what's in it and a truckload of guns nearby. Naked dude on a fucking bicycle. What? The most. All right, if that's the most. Listen to him again.
Most recently, the most threatening thing I've seen yet was the naked bicyclers in Portland who were
Wait, if that's the most threatening, what the fuck are you doing there? What are you doing? Why would you send troops in for naked people on bicycles? You fucking moron. Like, I gotta say, like, as stupid as it is, and it is, fascistic or like paternalism as it is, or monarchical or whatever that they're trying to do, that is one of the most ridiculous fucking sentences that hasn't been said by Trump in forever. If that's the standard, dude, you don't need I don't know, like, you need a goodwill. You don't need a fucking, here, put something on. Jesus Christ, here, have some jeans. This is a cool little jacket. Just take the clothes. Just go.
It's the most threatening. And you're right. How did he let that come out of his mouth?
Threatening. Keep in mind, just like, again, that is so fucking bananas. Think about how the right reacted to Chris Wray saying domestic terrorism is our biggest threat. Not domestic white supremacists, not fucking, like the Patriot, Front or Proud Boys, but domestic terrorism, which, by the way, by and large, by volume, includes more white groups, but it includes the Black Hebrew Israelites. It includes fucking religious, cults and like the Waco types, the fucking Bundys and all that kind of stuff. And to think, like, remember how ape shit they went about Chris Wray saying that? Yes, and then this asshole's naked bike riders are your biggest threat.
That's right. But this is what's so irritating, and I hope the dam will break on this. And it seems to be a little. There seems to be more pushback. Yes. But that after Chris Wray said that, they took down the studies and whatnot, and off of the websites. Back in the day, they were minimizing it, because I remember they were on Fox News whining about it, how they're railing against right wingers as if and that was during the great Antifa panic of the last maladministration.
Right.
Which, now we have another one, of course, but
so
Antifa didn't exist back then. It didn't exist. But it goes to show you how they don't give a shit about this country. They have nothing to offer us. That's why he could say something like that with a straight face. That's why they can lie. They take our very real problems that we face, and they go nuts about it. Oh, we can't handle this. Right wingers, they're picking on us again. Right. Because that's what it's about. They're always the victim, no matter what. Even with those so-called young Republicans, some of them went to the victim stance. Oh, this is being taken out of context, they said. And one of them apologized, but then he offered another excuse, saying this could also be something, like I'm being targeted by my enemies. Something like that.
Oh, yeah. And, everything's going to be hacked or AI now. Like, from this point on, that's the problem that Trump has with the Epstein stuff, is that AI didn't exist in its current form with that stuff before. So and it's going to go into the congressional record. And so the authentication of it will actually happen. And it all predates this shit. Like, he was like, fuck, why couldn't I be Epstein's friend in 2028? For real. Like,
I can't wait. What do you think, though, when it comes out? It's coming out. It will come out. It's only Mike Johnson is delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
It's happening. We'll get it. I just don't know. Will this be anything that will
Yes.
You think?
If it actually comes out, because here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna release another tranche of shit that's gonna seem like a big number. 80,000 pages or something. And then there's going to be a big thing is that people go through it and there's a bunch of gnarly shit in it. And a bunch of it's going to be Democrats, more like they'll go after Clinton or whoever else. They'll release that stuff. And then everybody will go, wait a second, why wouldn't you release this shit? It's Democrats. Yeah. Why wouldn't you have put it out? What the fuck? And then they'll go, what else is there? And like, okay, so you're only holding back the Trump shit right now. Eventually, that's what it's going to be. And he's going to keep trying to punt that shit again and again. And it's not going to work. It just isn't.
Wow. Yeah. No, he's because he raped young girls. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that's what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. We have Katie Johnson's testimony about it, and Jeffrey Epstein gifted Trump the 2 young girls in her testimony, and he raped them both. So
I would argue that that's what we know about.
Right.
And even that, Trump is like aware that information is out there. It was rescinded or whatever because she feared for her life, which is a reasonable fear to have. Yeah. Virginia Jeffrey's book just came out and it's like, where are the tapes that I know were taken of me and other people? Not Jeffrey, other people. Where are they? They disappeared. And that's in her book. And in many ways, you could argue that her suicide was a last-ditch effort to draw attention to this. And make people take her book seriously instead of just like terrible. In the meantime, though, we're at the end of the show, and we thank you for being on, Tara Devlin.
Thank you.
This is Tara Busters with Tara Devlin is her show. You can check it out today. What time are you on this afternoon? You're on East Coast time.
8:30 p.m. Yes, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And yes, so if you can, please follow the YouTube channel and then the Substack, my Substack, I'm trying to build that up. And that's where I'm doing most of my, I mean, really, and Blue Sky, thanks to, Cosmic Rose, who's helping me out there.
Great. Nice job, Cosmic Rose. Yes. Big round of applause in the chat room for Cosmic Rose for that. Thank you.
Really, I appreciate it. And all the sparklers who come to Tara Buster after your show on Friday. It's really amazing and fun.
It is.
And I hope you guys, see you later tonight.
Absolutely.
We got a lot to talk about.
Yes, indeed. All right. Thanks for being on. I greatly appreciate it. And are you going to one of the No Kings tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be in New York. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you gotta history. And I'm sure this will be one of, there'll be more more because he's not going to quit. He's not going to stop. But this has to happen. We have to build momentum, and I think they're terrified about it, calling it in America. Really, there's nothing more pro-American than no kings. So
right. Oh, whoops. Sorry. Hold on one second. The wrong button. Here we go. I want to show you this. Trump is even reacting to it. I'm not a king. And I'm sure they cut off. There's an apostrophe right there. So I'm sure he said, unfortunately, right after. It's like when, George W. Bush, like, it'd be a lot easier if I was the dictator, right? Yeah, Trump is thinking the exact same thing. Yeah, he told Fox News, though. I'm not an animal. Right. So, and I got to say, like, it's obviously getting to him. Keep it up.
Yeah.
And know that there are a bunch of people around you, this might surprise some of you, that are maggots who are, whether it's Epstein or whether it's Gaza or whether it's, his support for Ukraine, ironically, in their minds, are breaking ranks. Some of them are even going to show up at these things and walk. Right. Because they've had a change. They've had a change of heart.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Yes, no, but because I've been saying for years that one day in the not too distant future, those who supported Trump will speak of it in shamed whispers.
Yes.
That day will come. It really will. Just like what happened with Hitler. They had 12 years.
Yep.
Hitler. Ugh. But, could you imagine what it felt like?
You're also going to see a
in
bunch
that
of them
sixth
going, look,
year.
I didn't have a choice. Like, if we wanted to get anything that we needed done, I didn't really have a choice. We had to, like, he would have killed us. Like, if you think you had it bad, like, and the loyalty factor in these kind of movements is worse than their outsiders, because they view, the closer you get to them, the more paranoid they become. And if you turn, or you're not 100% loyal, the damage done to you is way worse than anything that they're going to do to somebody who is their perceived direct enemy, because that's assumptive and also doesn't take a lot of effort. But, if somebody turns on you, that's when you really give them what for. So anyways, thank you so much for coming on, Tara.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon.
You
Have
guys.
a great show tonight, and I will talk to you again soon.
I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.
All right, cheers. There she goes. Excellent. Thank you guys as well. And I'm going to go listen to Ace's solo record all the way through. And I'm going to try and talk Chuck into letting me do Rock Soldiers at the next jam. Because that was, I loved his first Fraley's Comet record. And yeah, I talked about it earlier, Kelly, before Boston Brian came on. And so rest in peace, Ace. You're in space now, where you've always wanted to be. I'm fairly certain he didn't pass away, that Three Eye Atlas picked him up. So, anyways, and thoughts and prayers to Tommy Thayer right now, who's gonna catch a lot of weird side flack from Kiss fans, like the hardcores. And it's unnecessary, guys. There was only one Ace, and Kiss, exists in your, and that's the thing about music, man. Music exists in your heart. And again, to everybody who doesn't understand my appreciation for that band, my love of the band and what they did for me as a human being, if you like who I am, if you like what I talk about, and you like, the kind of traits that Tara says I have, and I do, I work very hard. They were and are a huge part of that. Genuinely. There are times where I've had enough Into the Fire, the Kiss song off of Animalize, like, saved my sanity during the 90s. And that's the thing about music. I don't have to like what you like to love that you love it. So whatever does for you, what their music does for me, I couldn't be happier for you. Yeah, Ace Frehley died. His real name was Paul Frehley, by the way, and he changed his name to Ace because Gene was like, we can't have two Pauls in the band, and Paul Stanley was there first. So he became Space Ace Frehley because he had to pick another name. And the story of when he showed up to play for the very first time with two different colored sneakers on, and there was just magic between the four of them, is one of my favorites. There were better players that came in, skilled shredders, all this kind of stuff, but vibe-wise with what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it, that's what brought it together. Ace was the last guy to join the band and the first one to leave the planet. And I just want to prep you guys that I will be very sad when Peter and Gene go. I will be wrecked when Paul goes. And I hope it's not for a very long time. I hope he's on every peptide in the book, and I hope he lives long enough to start the age reversal Tomonaka protein stuff that's coming in the near future. And Diane Keaton, we talked about it a little bit, but the show was so jumpy, didn't really get across it. But one of the things when I started doing Lab Rats that I said to Kelly Berglund, who played Brie on the show, and I meant it as the greatest compliment because I really did see it, was that Kelly could be another Diane Keaton. I was like, your comic timing and your beauty fused together, and your charm, the breadth of what you'll be able to do, I can see it. And that's a huge compliment. And when I said that to her, I was like, I hope one day you understand that I mean this in the most, like, in the most serious way, like that, filling that gap in art is something that I just saw for her, and that was the best analogy of a performer that I could find for who she is and the breadth of her talent, because her ability to do broad slapstick and smart comedy to genuine pathos, genuine drama was incredible. Just incredible. And so her passing has is particularly tied in that regard to just because a lot of my comedic heroes aren't necessarily stand-ups. They're comedic actors like Madeline Kahn and Dom DeLuise and Gene Wilder and of course Richard Pryor, because I would argue, as brilliant as Richard Pryor's stand-up was, his comic acting was even better. And Diane Keaton was one of those people as well. Like her, it's sad to me a little bit that so much of her early work was with Woody Allen, and he has fallen out of favor for obvious reasons. So much. It's weird to me also that his letter to Epstein is almost like a warning to everybody else. It's just like the strangest thing. Like, this guy's kind of weird. His house is like House of Dracula or whatever. But people, because of Woody, have a problem going back and looking at Annie Hall or Love and Death or those kind of movies, and it's a shame. Don't let that stop you. Don't let the fact that you might have an issue with Woody Allen stop you from going back and looking at the great work that she did. So, and I thought it was particularly sweet that Martin Short and Steve Martin raised a toast to her on their show on Saturday night, because they worked with her in Father of the Bride and they knew each other. And so, yeah, exactly. Mutant 21, stir crazy. Just the scene with Grossberger in the jail cell. Just watch that again. It's on, like, there are clips of Stir Crazy all over YouTube. Go watch the return to the cell when they bring Gene Wilder back from being in solitary, and Richard Pryor is in the cell with Grossberger, and Grossberger is leaning against his chest while he's pinned up against the bed. There are very few comedically perfect performances, and that's one of them. God damn. And her turn, the la-di-da scene in Annie Hall, where they meet for the first time and she's embarrassed and trying to flirt and all that stuff. It's so goddamn good. It's so honest and so without ego. So good. So that it's just, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, Gene Wilder. Oh my God. Yeah, Gene Wilder was his sweetness was really what I tried to find in certain work that I do. If I'm ever inspired to try and, like, what am I trying to achieve in this scene? There are certain actors where I'll look at their work and go, it doesn't apply to the character and what my character is doing versus what their character was doing, but how do I bring that sweetness out? Or how do I bring out that the charisma or the shyness or whatever it is? I'll be inspired by those performances. And I did a scene in one of my first acting scenes. Let's go back a couple seconds and then I'll let you guys go. We did scene work in high school in acting when I first moved to Chicago and went to New Trier, and I finally got to take an acting class. And my two scenes that I got to do were from Annie Hall, and the lobster scene and one other. I'm blitzing on it, the other one right now. Oh no, it was the spider scene. Why'd you, it's 3:00 in the morning. It's an emergency. There's a spider in the bathroom. You got a spider in the bathroom. It's the size of a Buick, that whole scene. I did both of those in acting class. And at that point, had I seen the movie? I don't think so. And I found I hadn't seen it yet. And because you had to rent stuff. That I went and watched it afterwards because I didn't want to watch it before. I did the same thing with Queer as Folk. Like if there's been a version of what I'm doing, I don't watch the earlier version. I just take my cues from what I'm doing. And the timing is in the script. Do you watch the John Candy documentary? Yes, it's so sweet. It's like a eulogy. It's sweet and heartbreaking. Gene in Young Frankenstein is perfect, no question. And Diane Keaton, I would argue, you're right, guys, is one of the first women who set in the modern era. I mean, obviously, back in the golden age of Hollywood, there was a lot of style set by the starlets, and they did it on purpose. But that whole wearing a tie and a vest idea that caught on, that was Diane Keaton. 100%. Just her kind of bohemian style. Also, I'd like to say that 70s apartments were full of fucking books. Oh my God. Anyways, and you, a mute, incredibly big mute, must have been the tallest in your class, right? Wah! Right. Dom DeLuise in the end of Blazing Saddles. You sissy Marys. Not in the face. Those are things that I find inspiring to this day because I feel like they're missing in some of this. There's a lot in modern acting that is like people born in an era where they're aware they're being watched. Right? Yeah, CSL. Did I ever tell you, CSL, that Dom DeLuise, when I was working with Marianne Williamson back in the day, he came to a couple of her lectures, and I said a couple of things during the, I used to run the mic, so when people had questions and stuff, and occasionally I would throw a little punchline or be silly, and if something was happening, Marianne hated it. But Dom came over and said, I just want to tell you, you're so funny. And I, could have knocked me over with a feather because it was Dom DeLuise. I told my mom. That was the first time I'd called my mom with news. She thought I'd gotten a series or something. And so I was like, that was huge for me. And so Dom DeLuise is one of those perfectly funny people. He was such a sweet man. So before I get too weepy, I'll let you guys go. And and I will see you guys this afternoon. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. That's the important thing. Do the original theme on my way out. If that's all right with you guys. Be good.
Salt water in their veins. You have that salt water. Don't let the doctors change it. Keep it. Because there's nothing like it. There's no blood like it.
Action replays in magnified fortune.
The fleet. The fleet. To me, Corona means Italy.
I don't read, obviously.
When they gaze upon Semites, Semites.
Immortal principles.
Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
What?
I had a beat off.
Transvestites.
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.